Hey everybody, welcome back to Trial and Error, and in the half-assery that is my life, I've managed to ignore my boilers for the last 7 years, which I do not recommend you do. I've been very lucky. This thing just purrs like a walrus and haven't had any trouble, but A, it's not good for your equipment, and B, it may not even be safe. So you want to make sure that you are cleaning these things on a regular basis. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out and hire somebody to do some of the basic stuff that we're going to do today. It's almost idiot-proof. So we're going to take care of that. We're not going to take any sophisticated measuring. We're not going to look at the efficiency rates and calculate that or anything like that. We're just going to make sure the thing's running nice, clean, or relatively clean and safely. We're going to change the oil filters that feed it. This is an oil-fed boiler. Obviously, you can have a propane boiler. It just takes that step out of the mix. But we're going to look at the quality of the flame. We're going to clean the chamber itself. We're going to go up and we're going to check the flue. We're going to clean the flue because my guess is that's got some built up crap in there, and that's what can get dangerous. So we're going to clear all of that out. It is a 100,000 BTU burner feeding 3 zones for the house plus a 4th zone that goes and takes care of the hot water. Basically, it's a water-to-water exchange tank there, and we're going to look at the pressures that we're operating at as well. That is important, and I think that's probably about it. So let's get right into it. All right, before we take anything apart, while it's running here, just slide open your inspection. Use a tool to do this. It's red hot. And just take a look at the flame that you're getting. Whew, I can't leave you guys there too long. It gets too hot. We're going to melt the camera. But we got a good clean burn. Nice wide fan. I don't see anything too scary there. And again, if you're doing this the right way, you've got proper tools for measuring this and measuring boiler and burner efficiency. We're just doing what my channel's famous for, the half-ass handyman. And just making sure we're getting a good burn, at least visually, which we are. Other thing we're going to take a look at while it's running here is our temps and our pressures. So right now, the heat in the house is actually cool, and the only thing that is hot is just the oil basically going through the hot water heater, so my pressures are nice and low. What you do want to do is get the entire house heated up, because once all of the water in all of the radiators, baseboards, is heated up, it's going to put more pressure in the system. That hot water expands, and more of it expands more. So what you really want to make sure you're doing, and each house varies a little bit. I like to keep mine around 22 pounds or so. That's what I need to get good flow upstairs. It's kind of the minimum to get good flow upstairs, and without trying to overpressurize the system. More pressure is not more better. So we'll keep it in there. And if you're seeing that it's spiking like crazy, you've got one or two things going on. Number one, your expansion tank is either crapped out, and they do die. So there's a little diaphragm in here that has air on one side and the hot water from your forced hot water system on the other. And eventually, over time, these things can spring a leak in that baffle, and you lose the benefit of that air cushion. So these guys go bad. Or the other thing is the system could be designed improperly, or maybe it was designed right, but then they expanded the system and you get a bigger expansion tank. So yeah, see, this thing hardly has anything in it right now, just based on sound alone, and that's normal. This won't start to really do a job until the entire baseboard system in the house starts to heat up, and it really needs to absorb some of that expanded water. Well, not expanded water, it's actually oxygen in the water, but hey, let's not get too technical. We've got two 275-gallon tanks here, and they all come together in basically a T here. We have two easily replaced but also big capacity filters. So these have been on there for 7 years now unchanged. Oh, actually, you know what? I might be lying. I think I may have changed these maybe 4 years ago or so. I think somewhere in the middle I did change these because I actually keep them. Yeah, we got it right here. I always keep them here just in case we have any problems. But with two of these running, you know, that can handle a whole lot of oil before one of these would actually clog up and stop working. But the first step we're going to do is to shut off the valves. These little gate valves here. There we go. So you notice how that's just spinning up and then it drops. You want to make sure that that drops. It's a gate. So make sure that those gate valves drop down. This one seems to be dropping on its own. Yep, going down. So sometimes those gates can get hung up. So once you've backed it off, give it a couple little taps just to make sure that that gate is seated all the way back in and is stopping the oil flow. If you haven't already, like me, make sure you shut off your burner. Obviously with no oil, she ain't gonna purr too well. Alright, so we're gonna make a little mess here. If I gave a flying fuck, I would put something under it, but I don't. Shouldn't be too much. A little oil never hurt anybody. Unless you're a seal. There we go. A little bit of oil on the filter here. And we're just gonna one hand snug that. Doesn't need to be super tight. So with the oil turned off, the feed turned off on that side, it's very easy to assume you shouldn't worry about doing this, but you're gonna want to close this anyway. And the reason for that is just air locking. So I want to keep whatever fuel we have in this line and in the pump, in that line and in the pump, and keep it from draining back out. There's no sense in draining more oil or making a bigger mess than you need to, unless you really just enjoy the fun of it, which sometimes I do. Make sure you grab the wrong type of pliers like these, because this is what you happen to have right next to you. Do not spend the extra time to find the right ones, because at that point there's almost no risk of you actually stripping the copper connection here. And again, where's the fun in that? And we're just going to leave that there. We may need to bend that a little bit. I can't remember how big this door is once it starts to swing. So you got one bolt here. This stuff is going to be red hot, so be prepared. Make sure you're wearing your invisible safety gloves. And make sure you drop the nut. Last connection here is right here. And now we should be good to rotate. As far as the chamber goes, I mean, we got a little bit built up on the walls here, and we got a little pile at the bottom, but really not bad. Really not bad. So we're going to clean all this out. We're going to use a wire brush up on the steel parts, and then we'll be very careful where the insulation is, because you don't want to destroy your insulation. Back wall showing a little bit of wear from the flame hitting it, but nothing major, no damage. And then I can't see up there yet. We got to get the light in there, and we'll inspect the bottom of the boiler itself. Door insulation looks really good. A little pile here again at the bottom, and some little Klingons hanging around. Oh, we got a little bit of a misaligned rope there where it seals up, so we'll fix that. And then around the nozzle itself, we got some carbon buildup, but nothing too bad, so we'll clean all that out of there. Nozzle actually looks nice and clean. But yeah, just the fins are a little carboned up, but that's an easy fix, or an easy clean. And otherwise, not too shabby. And remember, the reason for this isn't aesthetic. What we're trying to do here is just get everything off the cast iron, and the cleaner you can get that, the more efficient your burn becomes, because more of the heat from the flame itself can be turned into hot water. But you also don't want to have, you know, a firing chamber just full of crap. That's not real safe either. Be careful around the insulation. You will tear it up pretty good. And unfortunately, some of the most important parts are harder to get to and harder to see. It's all across the top here. And I don't know that you can see this. Oh yeah, you kind of can. So you see those little fingers there? So that continues on for about a foot or so, and that's what's really absorbing all the heat from the flame, and you've got your hot water running through that cast iron pieces, or those cast iron manifolds basically that run back and forth. So we're going to do our best to clean out in there. And if you want to get real tricky, you know, you can take the top off this thing, and they do have kits that go down little fingers and clean out through all of those. I don't worry about that level of detail personally, but you know, if you're so inclined. Then again, you know, if oil continues the way it is, building back broker, and it hit 15 bucks a gallon, it may make more sense to get that kit and get in there and really get the details. But as long as it's not all sopped up in there, and you know, obviously the heat can rise nice and unimpeded, that's really the most important part. So once you're satisfied with your half-ass cleaning, go ahead and grab a shop vac and get to work. Alright, you can't make this shit up. In case you didn't notice, I had the shop vac on blow because the last time I used it, I was blowing out lines for the pool for the winter. That didn't make a mess or anything. No. No. So I did open that valve just a crack, and you don't have to do that either, but just to get any air out of the lines, and also because the vacuum went ballistic the wrong direction, I wanted to make sure I didn't have anything, you know, any loose crap sitting in the line here that I was just about to feed into the pump. Next up, we're going to take a look at the dampener and just make sure we don't see a whole mess here. Sometimes these can get kind of grummed up and grimy. I'm going to wipe it down and we'll vacuum that out, but for the most part, that looks good. And then clear on up, we're fine through here. We do have a little bit of a low spot here, so I'm going to make sure we're clean in there as well. But definitely we're going to find some crap in here. And what this is the very bottom of the flue. So you've got, I mean, stuff that can even fall in from outside just blowing in. It's not much, but it's some. But more often than not, it's all of the stuff that gets sucked up with the heat of the exhaust. Doesn't, as it cools, as it makes its way up before it gets out of the house, it starts to fall its way back down again and ends up down here. And this can actually build up to a level where you start restricting the airflow. And, oh, good poster, right? Actually, I got a bunch of good posters in here. We got Ted and Caddyshack. Okay. Anyway, it can build up to a point where you actually restrict your airflow here, and obviously that doesn't help your burner burn cleanly, but it can cause a whole lot of heat to build up, and that's a good way to start a chimney fire. So pull the bottom off of this and see how much crap we can find there. Okay. Well, don't say I didn't warn you. Yeah, buddy. Oh, let's see, we got some wasps in there, some hornets. Oh, I gotta get out of here. This is gross. Alright, so this is the stuff, as you can see, has no trouble building up over time, and why you need to clean your chimney. Even if you have an oil fire, you know, not a wood-fired chimney. But this stuff definitely does build up, and it creates a fire hazard. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna inspect our little tube here, and we've got a pile of it. Probably couldn't see, but we've got a pile of it sitting in the bottom of this too. So we're gonna snake this all out with the vacuum and clean that. You can obviously disassemble more of this to get better access if you really want to. I don't really need to, so we're just gonna vacuum that out and get all of this cleaned up again. Fuel is on at the tanks. Fuel is connected here. Valve is open. Power is connected. Door is bolted. And our flue setup is good to go. Contact. Alright, should be firing up here. And with that, we're back up and running for another 7 years. So again, if you do this every year, it doesn't get that messy, but I just let it go for a while. So I thought it'd be interesting to see how bad it really got. Really not that bad. Still though, I would recommend you're in here cleaning this at least once a year. If you're not comfortable with that, have it serviced. A few other things that you probably should be doing on a regular basis is taking the nozzle apart and cleaning it. But in my experience, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's burning right, let it rip. And same thing, a good cleaning of the actual water to air boiler exchange. That's not a bad idea either. I just can't be bothered to do it myself, but this will keep you, for the most part, pretty safe and keep the system running. So that's about all there is to it. As always, any questions, comments, concerns, or criticisms, throw them down in the comment section below me. Otherwise, everybody, thanks for watching as always, and have a great day.